foreigners living here, for health insurance companies, for the Ministry of the Interior, basically everyone, when this was introduced in the latest change of the immigration law, no one really knew how it will work, and it's still kind of the same until now, but we managed to find out some general rules that should apply in these, like, the most typical situations. Of course, it might be a bit different if you go to the branch and you speak with a person who's maybe not that like trained, or like different branches might have different opinions, different health insurance companies might have different opinions, but generally this is how it should work. So, generally speaking, every child below 18 years of age should fall under the public health insurance system. But there are some kind of rules, some kind of exceptions, so I will try to now cover the most common scenarios, and hopefully that will help you to clarify this a bit. So, easy way to determine if you can, or if your child, probably you're not the child watching the live stream, maybe, like if you're 15, 16, 18, maybe. If you're 3, 5, probably not, but maybe, who knows. Anyway, so if that, because generally this rule applies to holders of long-term residence permits. So that's the determining, I don't know what's wrong with my English or pronunciation today. The determining factor is if you have or don't have a residence permit, which means the the residence permit card. So if you are a child, it doesn't really matter what is the purpose of your stay, but if you're below 18 and you have a long-term residence permit, then you should fall under the public health insurance system, and it generally starts from the 1st of January of 2024. So if you were here, if you were a child, or if you're a child, you have the family reunification, which is the most typical example, and you have a long-term residence permit, then from the 1st of January, you fall under the public health insurance system. Now, public health insurance system doesn't mean VZP. That's not the same thing. VZP is one of the companies included in the public health insurance system. So you don't have to go with VZP. You can go with OZP, you can go with other BOZP, whatever. Okay, you can go with different insurance companies. Generally, you should stick to the one you have, because in most cases, it will be you as the parent who will be paying for the insurance. So it kind of makes sense to go to the insurance company where you're insured. So if you're with VZP, your child should be with VZP as well. But please guys, VZP doesn't equal public health insurance. There are more insurance companies, and honestly speaking, in my personal opinion, there are better health insurance companies than VZP. But if you're with VZP, your kid can be with VZP as well, and that's all right. They're like, I don't mean anything bad. They're like good because they are governed by the same law. But if I compare the customer service of VZP and OZP, for example, it's kind of not comparable. Like OZP is way better. Also, if we need some documentation for the residence permits, for example, with VZP, it's always like struggle. They always give you just like for 3 months extension, and then if you don't bring them a bridging visa, they don't give you a health insurance. It's like stupid. With OZP, for example, they give you a confirmation for a year. Even if you're in the process, you will be insured for a year, and they don't like care about you bringing like bridging visas every 3 months. So there are a couple reasons why I prefer OZP. But if you're with VZP, that's fine. It's still the public health insurance system. So that was the first example. If your child had a family reunification residence permit, so starting from the 1st of January 2024, they have to fall under the public health insurance system. If they are currently holding the private health insurance, so they have a contract with PVZP, not to be confused with VZP, or with Maxima or Unica or whatever other like private health insurance company, then they will be part of the public health insurance after the next day after the private health insurance expires. So let's say they have you, because you had to buy it, right, for 2 years or 3 years in case of blue card holders. So you had to buy health insurance for 2 years. So now your child still has the private health insurance, Maxima, Unica, AXA, whatever. So they can still keep it, but once it expires, from the next day, they are by the law part of the public health insurance system. So you cannot choose if you extend their Maxima or if you extend their PVZP or whatever. You always need to register them into the public system, and you have to do it within 8 days from when the private health insurance ended. Okay, so private insurance expires today. You have 8 days to register the child in the public health insurance system. If you don't do it, nothing really happens besides not having a proof of health insurance, but you are already paid, you are already late, and you might need to pay some extra fees like late payment fees and maybe some fees for not registering the child in time. So be careful about that. Once your private health insurance expires, from the next day, the child is registered in the public healthcare system, but you need to go within 8 days to the insurance company of your choice and get it done. That's one thing. If the child doesn't have a residence card or didn't have on the 1st of January 2024, they don't fall under, so they have a visa. They just have a visa sticker in their passport, okay? So they came here under a long-term visa. They don't have the card. So they cannot be part of the public health insurance system. So they still need to keep getting the private until they get the card. When they get the residence card, then they also fall under the public health insurance system. Now, if you're in like extension process, or your child, so let's say they had a residence card, they had the long-term residence permit, and now you are extending it, then they are also covered during the approval period. So if they have a bridging visa, they're covered. But you kind of need to prove to the insurance company that they had the card before, and now they're just extending it and they're still legal here. But they are covered. Now, another topic, newborns in the Czech Republic. So one thing I will mention in the beginning, this is not the topic of the live stream, but children born in the Czech Republic do not get Czech citizenship. Okay, it's not like in the US or in some other countries where if you're born there, you become a citizen. It's not like that in the Czech Republic. You always get the nationality of your parents or one of them, depending on like the country's rules. But okay, if one of the parents is a Czech citizen, okay, then the kid gets Czech citizenship as well. But if both of you are non-Czechs, doesn't matter if EU citizens or non-EU citizens, then the child will not get a Czech citizenship. Okay, so that's one important thing. But then if the child is born, they are, again, generally speaking, there might be some exceptions, but generally speaking, they are covered after the birth. They are covered for 60 days by the public health insurance. And after the 60 days, you basically need to follow the rules as I explained before. So if they were born and the parents do not have, they were born and the parents, especially the mother, because for fathers there are different rules as well. But if the mother has a long-term residence permit, then the child also falls under the public health insurance system. So you need to register them within 8 days. And they will be covered. If the parents, or especially the mother, only has a visa, because we have a client like that actually now, and she asked me about that a couple of days ago, so thank you for also like putting this in my mind that I should probably talk about this topic. So if the child was born in the Czech Republic, but the mother only has a long-term visa in her passport, then the child cannot contribute to the public healthcare system or cannot be covered. So you will need to buy the private health insurance anyway after the 60 days. There are then some exceptions that like what the health insurance companies look at is the mother's status. So if the mother has a long-term residence permit or a long-term visa, they don't care about the father. There are some, obviously, if you already have a permanent residency, then your child can also immediately apply for permanent residency, or they have to. So the child will also be covered by the public healthcare, because it's not related to like being born here or whatever, but it's connected to the status of permanent residency, because the status of permanent residency gives you the right to contribute to the public healthcare system and benefit from that. So I think that's it. That was the brief explanation. So hopefully it was clear. If you have any questions, guys, please comment and I'll try to answer. And of course, if you need the private health insurance, get in touch. We work with 6 different health insurance companies. We get the best prices from them. So if you need a health insurance for yourself, your kids, or whoever your spouse is, get in touch. We'll be happy to do it for you for the cheapest possible price. And let's see now questions in the chat. Prem GC, hi sir, good evening from Qatar. Hi to Qatar. There is not really a question, but that's good. You said hi, that's nice. Walid Hassan, how to switch from VZP public health insurance, Modrá Karta, to another insurance company like OZP or others? That's a good question, actually. There are always, you can only switch, I believe, like once a year, but there are 2 slots when you can do it every year. Okay, so it will be ending. If you want to switch health insurance companies, you can do it before the end of March. So now we're getting there. So you still have time to do it. And then the change will be effective from the 1st of July. Okay? It's always like quarters. So you do it in the first quarter, and then from the 3rd quarter, you get registered into the new company. And then the same at the end of the year. So the 3rd quarter, so from July till the end of September, you have the 2nd option to switch, and then you'll be switched from the 1st of January, from quarter 1. So this is how it works. So actually now you can switch, and you basically need to just ideally go to the old one to see if you need to do anything there, but then you go to the new one, you get registered there, and then from like the one after the next quarter, you will be registered with the new one. You just need to, for example, for freelancers, you should have the taxes done and submitted the healthcare report, so they can calculate if you don't owe them anything or how much you owe them, and they can still like get the money from you before you leave. Yeah, Jeff Santos, nice to see you here again. What is the big difference between private comprehensive health insurance versus public health insurance? Well, you cannot really compare that, even though some companies try to make it look like it's the same thing and like it's basically exactly the same. It's not. The private health insurance is private, and it's not private as in the US, for example. In the US, private generally means better. In the Czech Republic, private doesn't mean better, because it's private and it's pretty cheap, especially if you compare it to prices in the US. Now you can get, it depends on your age, but let's say you can get a health insurance for 15,000 crowns a year, okay? Which is $600 a year. Most of our clients pay that like monthly in the US for health insurance. So the private health insurance is this cheap, which means they cannot really cover much. They do, the comprehensive officially has to cover, they need to have the 400,000 coverage, and they should cover the most like basic things that can happen. But they always have some things that they will not cover. They have terms and conditions, and they need to, because the thing is that they need to be making money out of that. So they need to have the prices calculated the way that more people, they earn more than they pay to people. I guess that makes sense, you know. The public health insurance is not really like set up like this. Okay, they don't, of course they should be making some money as well, but it's not exactly like a private company. So they basically cover whatever happens. Okay, so if you get like 3 and pre-existing conditions, everything. So if you get 3 types of cancer, you break all your limbs and like whatever else, then you will still be treated generally for free, of course, for the contributions you're making. So if you're a freelancer, then you have to pay some monthly fees. If you're an employee, then some fees are deducted from your salary. That's why it's the difference between gross and the net part of it. So you still like have to contribute, but then basically whatever happens, whatever treatment you need, you will be covered, and they will do it for free. There are some exceptions, like dental care is generally not really covered either, like under either of them. And if you wanted some like better care, like better medication or something, you don't want to get the free one, but you would like some upgrade or something, then you need to pay yourself. And some medication is also like partially paid from your side, but generally it's kind of incomparable. The public health insurance basically covers everything. The private insurance covers as much as they kind of have to, but still allowing them to make money on that, because that's a business, it's a private company. It's not like the state-owned companies where the government can donate them forever with billions and billions and billions of crowns, like the Czech post office or like whatever. Anyway, so that's the main difference. Hopefully that was a good enough answer. Harun Khan, hello dear. Hi Harun. Walid Hassan, thanks. Do we have to inform MOI about the change? Any other requirements, payment fees? Should we inform anyone else like my employer? Well, yes, your employer definitely, for sure, because they deduct it from your salary and they have to send it to the correct insurance company. So you definitely need to update your employer. Otherwise, they will be sending it to the old one, and that's not good. If you are self-employed, then you will need to start paying towards the new health insurance company. But in terms of pricing, there is no difference because they are all under the same law of the public health insurance. So you always pay the same amount and you get the same coverage with whatever company you are with. The main difference between the public health insurance companies is the level of service and the level of like some extra things they give you, like some of the, or basically all of them, but they have different programs that they sometimes like pay your kids to go for a summer camp or something, like a health summer camp, or they give you 500 crowns to buy multivitamin, or these kind of like support to go with them, but the actual coverage and the actual price is the same everywhere because that has to be the same by the law. And so the MOI, you don't really need to inform them, but just when you're extending your whatever residence permit you have and you need the card, they will see that you've changed the insurance companies, but you don't need to report it actively. Maybe to your doctor as well. Would be good to, but with the public, that's fine. They all accept it, so that's fine. But if you had a private, you wanted to change, it's good to check with your doctor if they accept that private insurance company as well. But with public, they should all have the same coverage. They don't exactly like the smaller ones, may be focused on some regions of the Czech Republic, but generally the public covers everything, everywhere. This name I cannot really understand, so I will not read the name, sorry. It's either Thai or Indian, I would say. Anyway, so can I get a loan from Czech Republic Bank for that? For what? For the health insurance? That would be pretty bad if you couldn't pay the health insurance. But anyway, if you want to get a loan, get in touch. I did some video about loans some time ago, and we've actually had on our main channel of Move to Prague relocation experts. If you just like search for it here on YouTube, you'll find it with our logo and everything. So we will, let's see, we don't have the logo there anymore. Okay. Anyway, so you'll find the main channel, and we actually did an interview with one of the best mortgage advisors and loan advisors in the Czech Republic, who's dealt with like plenty of cases and sold properties for like millions and millions of crowns. So we touched this topic a bit, like what kind of documents you need for mortgages and how much you can get with your salary, all that. So just if you're interested in that, go to the Move to Prague channel. But if you just want to find out how much you can get or if you can get a loan, get in touch. I will be happy to connect you with him, and he will explain everything. Frederick Ismail, Oba. Hello, Mistrian, how are you? About the public insurance, some money must be paid every month, or how is it going? Yes, yes, I'm thinking if I talked about it in the beginning, but I mentioned it a couple times during the live stream. If you, because not everyone can contribute to the public healthcare system and benefit from it. Generally, it applies to employees, and now it applies to kids. But for example, self-employed people or students, they cannot really benefit from the public healthcare system. So it depends on what kind of visa or residence permit you have and where are you from and what you do here. But if you are part of the public healthcare system as a freelancer, you have to pay yourself. If you're part of the public health insurance system as an employee, then the health insurance is deducted from your salary every month by your employer. Walid Hassan, thank you very much, Jan, for such live events. They are really informative. Thanks a lot and keep it going. Thank you as well for joining, because if no one was joining, I would not be doing them probably for too long. So thank you very much, guys. It's also your doing. Harun Khan, but I don't have a right person. I guess it's, I want to work in Europe, but I don't have the right person. What do you mean by the right person? Like someone who would employ you, or what do you mean by that? Anyway, Jeff Santos, if I'm going to renew the residence permit of my spouse and child, will there be any issue with the approval from the MOI if I get health insurance that will be paid monthly instead of painful for 2 years? It should not. We've actually tested this with a few clients already, and it actually worked also the way, this is like an internal information, but it worked the way that the ministry did not even want, if they knew that the child would qualify for the public health care, they didn't want you to buy the health insurance, or at least with our clients. But it depends, but if you're applying for the residence permit, they should not really request it, because you will be part of the public. And if you already have the public, that's not a problem at all. You can always submit the public health insurance card and they will accept it and approve the residence permit for the full validity of 2 years, 3 years, whatever you're applying for. So the public health insurance card works as well. You don't have to have the private if you have the public. Faitmir, what about the visa of Australia? Are they approving for Pakistani? I honestly have no idea how it works in Australia, because I only work with Czech immigration. So I have no idea if Australia is approving visas, to be honest. Okay, guys, thank you very much. There don't seem to be any more questions, and it's been 23 minutes anyway. So, okay, 2 more questions. Yeah, okay. Let's do that. Basuredi, hello. Do non-tax residents who have freelance business in Czech Republic who live there less than need to pay tax in the Czech Republic? Well, this is more of a question for an accountant, like the tax part. But from my side as the immigration, depends on what kind of residence permit you have. If you have a business-related residence permit, then obviously you need to pay taxes here, because you need to prove your income, and if you don't prove your income, you don't get your residence permit, or you don't get it extended. So yes, in this case, you would have to do it. Okay, if you're an EU citizen, then it also, I guess, depends on some agreements we might have with the country. But okay, in that case, it would be best to speak with an accountant. If you don't have one, get in touch. I will be happy to connect you to the one we recommend. Also depends on, like, if you're employee or self-employed, like how, if you have a company here, or if you just have a trade license where you provide your services. So I think this is a bit more complex, and an accountant would be definitely better qualified to answer that than me. Okay, so many more questions. I wanted to go already. Thanks a lot, but what if get the PR? I already forgot the question, so let's see. How are public health insurance money? Well, if you have the PR, that's the same. Like if you are self-employed, then you have to pay yourself. If you are employed, then it's deducted from your salary. If you're neither employed or self-employed, so you have no income, you need to pay yourself anyway. It's just a smaller amount than, for example, for freelancers, but you still need to pay towards the public health insurance system. I'm trying a lot, but I did not receive any offer letter or invitation from the company. Basically, I'm working in United Arab Emirates from last 14 years. Well, it's kind of difficult to get a company to agree to hire you because the whole process of getting an employee card can take at least 4 to 6 months, depending on the country of your origin or where you have to apply, can be years before you get here. And it's not really attractive for companies if they hire you today and you can start working like 6 months from now or 12 months from now or 2 years from now. So yeah, it's difficult. Hi sir, I'm Sarat, I'm an Indian. Okay, so that was Hindi. Working in the Czech Republic since 2020. I want to bring my wife to Czech Republic on dependent visa. So how much money should be shown in the bank account? Taken from the bank for that. Okay, basically you have two options. Definitely get in touch. This is one of the main things we do, bring in families of foreigners here. From all over, Indians pretty much as well, and all the other countries. So this is what we do. So if you need any help with that, get in touch. But to answer your question, you basically have two options. Your family can apply either for a long-term visa, which is just a sticker in your passport, has some pros, some cons, but I will not go into that. Check my channel and search for family and you will see like millions of videos about this topic I made. So just briefly now. So either they can apply for a long-term visa, in which case you need to show 120,000 crowns per adult and 60,000 crowns per child. So if we have one wife and one child, that would be 120 plus 60, so 180,000 crowns. You can, in theory, take a loan for that, but the money must stay in your account until the family is approved. Because if you get the loan and then you immediately repay it, you get the statement for your family, then you immediately repay it or spend it or whatever, and the ministry requests a new proof of funds from you, then that will be a problem. So definitely you can take a loan, but you need to keep the money there in your account, the whole approval process. One thing, but the second option is that your family can apply for a residence permit, long-term residence permit, because you've been here long enough. And in that case, that has some pros, some cons, generally more pros than cons, but there are some cons as well. It can take longer, for example, to get approved. But in that case, you don't need to show any money in your bank account. You just need to show that you've been making enough on monthly basis. I would need to calculate the exact amount, so I will not tell you exactly. But if your salary is high enough, might be better just to apply for the residence permit, because you don't need to show any balance in there. Basuredi, sure, many thanks. You're welcome. I already don't know what was the question. I'm an EU citizen. Okay, yeah, sorry. The accountant, yeah, get in touch. I'll be happy to share the contact. It's best to speak with him. It's better than I know like the basics. I know because we do a lot of trade licenses for our clients. We set up businesses for them. So we know the basics, how it all works and what we need to do. But like sorting out tax residencies, all that's a bit more complicated, depending on many things. So it's best to speak to an accountant. I will not pretend that I am one. I'm not. Harunka, a lot of agents here, but they are just take the money and boom. Yeah. Be careful. I've done a video about that as well. If you go to my channel, it's one of the most viewed videos. It's called Real or Fake. And that talks about this topic, because there are plenty of agents saying they will give you a work permit or whatever contract of work for the Czech Republic, and then you can come here, get the visa and get it switched to a residence permit, all that. But it's mostly bullshit. In some companies, it's true. In some cases, might be true. But in some cases, like if you're an Indian and you live in India, I would recommend not paying anything to anyone, because it's bullshit in most cases. You cannot switch the seasonal visa to anything else inside of the Czech Republic. So once the seasonal visa expires, you have to leave. You cannot really extend it. There are some possibilities, but very limited. So that's one thing. Second thing is, as an Indian living in India, the chance that you will ever get an appointment at the embassy in India for an employee card is basically like zero, unless or zero within the next couple months, years maybe, until the quotas are changed, because the quota outside of the programs is 0. So if your future employer is not part of the governmental program, then you will never get an appointment at the embassy. So you might have a valid employment contract, you might have a valid accommodation, but those are useless because you can never apply. So pivo for you after work. Okay, I don't drink alcohol, but I will have a tea after work or something, so that's for sure. Wolf, sorry, just joined stream. Who are you and what are you talking about? Okay, fair enough. Yeah, my name is Jan, and I'm a co-founder and co-owner of Move to Prague Relocation Experts, and we are an immigration and relocation agency you will fall in love with. So we serve the Czech Republic, so if you're a foreigner and you want to move to the Czech Republic, we can make it happen. So from all the different types of visas, residence permits, health insurance, to finding you accommodation, picking you up from the airport, bringing your family, changing the type of your visa to anything else, starting your own business, anything you can imagine, we can do. That's what we do. And today I was talking about the changes in the public health insurance for kids, because it's been a big topic in the Czech Republic since the last couple months, and it's been very confusing for many people. So I just wanted to clarify that. If you have an additional question about who I am and what I do, let me know. Jeff Santos, since you mentioned proof of funds for the renewal of residence permit of spouse and child, do I still need to show the proof of funds to MOI if I'm working in Czech Republic, employee card holder since 22? Depends on what they are applying for. If they are applying just for extension of their visa, if they got their visa for 6 months, the sticker in the passport just for 6 months, and now they want to get another 6 months, you need to show the funds. But if they are switching to a long-term residence permit or they are extending a residence permit, you just need to prove that you have high enough monthly income to support all of them. Harun Khan, so can you show me the right way I can come there? Well, the right way is getting in touch, arranging a consultation with me or one of our immigration specialists and trying to find out the way to do that. Because it depends. Harun Khan, the first part, Harun sounds like Korean. Khan sounds like Pakistani. So I'm a bit confused about your name and where you're from, and it's a big factor on how to do it. So depending on where you're from, what's your background and what you want to do in the Czech Republic, where do you live at the moment, all these things need to be considered to see if you ever have a chance to get a visa for the Czech Republic. Jeff Santos, děkuji moc. One question, Jeff. Do you know what moč means? Did you put it there on purpose or it's an honest mistake? Because moč in the Czech language means piss. So děkuji moč is like thank you, piss. Just saying. Wolves, if you have EU passport, can I come directly with no problem? Yes, you can come directly. You can live here forever with no nothing too complicated needed. You can start working the same day when you arrive, no problems there. The only thing you have to do is to go to the foreign police within the first 30 days and get registered there. And then if you plan on staying longer, ideally say a year and longer, then you should also get the registration certificate, which is not mandatory, but it might be required if you live here longer and you want to, for example, register your car or get the tax residence done here, or I don't know, maybe find a school for your children. In those cases might be required to have the registration certificate, which is kind of like a piece of paper saying that you officially reside in the Czech Republic. Again, not mandatory, but if you plan on staying long term, that's definitely good to have. Harun Khan, Pakistan, yeah, so that will be honestly pretty complicated. We've had a few Pakistani clients, but primarily I'm thinking if some employee cards or blue cards in the past, but now we primarily bring families here. So if someone is already living here, we usually bring their spouses and kids. So that's what we do for Pakistanis quite a lot. Like, of course, not as much as for Americans, for example, or Indians, but we do that. But if you are from Pakistan and you are not moving here to live with your wife or husband, then it might be pretty difficult. Seto say someone had applied student visa in Ghana since November 6, 23, but still being processed. Well, welcome to the Czech immigration system. They have 60 days to make the decision. It's been 4 months. Yeah, what can you do? Now, well, I made a video. Again, go to my channel, search for taking too long, I think, or taken forever to get approved, something like that. And I made a video about what you can do in such case. But imagine if you applied in Ghana, most like 6th of November, most likely your documents arrived to the Czech Republic like beginning of December, because they have to physically ship the documents to the Czech Republic. The embassy doesn't make the decision. They send it physically to the Ministry of the Interior. Then there was Christmas, so no one was working on anything anyway. So maybe they started like checking your application in January. So it's been just 2 months they've been checking it. So it's still a lot of time for them. Yeah, probably mods, not much. Yes. Děkuji moc krát, that's better. That's better. Děkuji moc krát. That would be probably safe because the word doesn't exist. Děkuji moc could be pretty tricky in some circles of people. Anyway, Shekar, guys, I'm again 36 minutes of live stream. Damn, you have so many questions. Shekar asks, do we need to get police verification done from India to extend the family reunification residency permit? Nope. If they're here and they're extended from the Czech Republic, you don't need to get new PCC. Check-in is like 84 days now. Yeah, you can potentially send the ministry some letter requesting either the status of your application or like speed up the process. But you need to be kind of careful about that. So definitely go to my channel, subscribe, and go check the video called really like taking too long or taking forever to get approved, something like that. You'll find it. Right now I'm on vacation in my home country, Pakistan, but I'm working in United Arab Emirates for last 14 years as a heavy truck driver. Well, you could have a chance as a heavy truck driver here because there used to be, at least, I'm not sure now, but there used to be big demand for truck drivers. We also had a company like as a client who we did like 3 or 4 employee cars for them for their drivers, and they were constantly looking for drivers, but not sure if it's still the situation after COVID and everything. So please, my name is you speak. What? My name you speak. Should I say your name? Nah. Of course, Irshad Ali. Irshad Ali. Welcome to the channel. I don't know if you had any question or you just wanted me to shout out your name. Here you go. Shektar, thank you. Also, do you recommend any school or classes if I want to learn Czech language in Brno? We used to go to the job fairs there as exhibitors, and I think Czech courses had their branch there. So I would go with Czech courses. That's the name of the company. It's not like Czech courses, but it's a company called Czech courses, and they do Czech courses or courses of Czech language. So we were pretty happy with them in Prague, and I believe they had a branch in Brno. Not sure if they still do. Maybe they have more branches in Brno now, but I would check them out. Okay, guys, 40 minutes. I'm leaving the live stream now. Thank you all for joining, and I'll be here again Thursday until the end of the world. Good night, guys. Bye-bye.